Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Taco Tuesday edition of The Rundown. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast, behind the Sierras. That's right, we call it the Iron Curtain in California. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right, coming to you live back from the East Coast. My name is Mike Porsky. I will be sitting in with you and the host of the day, Mr. Craig DeLuz. It's great to be here, Craig. Great to be back home. We had a great time this past weekend, but there's something to be said from the home studio as well.
Oh, dude, I will just tell you, it is amazing the technical things that just seem to become an issue when you are on the road, because obviously you've left all your backup stuff back at home because you can't take the entire studio with you. But most importantly, I will just say this. I have come to appreciate a very good internet connection.
Yeah, when we get to go set up studios and we're there for a couple of days, a week at a time, that's one thing. But this past event, we tried to break down and move 2 or 3 times a day, and that's really pretty difficult. So
It was. But you know what? Y'all were patient. I hope that you guys really enjoyed some of the guests that we had on. A number of them we will be having on as guest hosts for the rundown to talk about the news. So you get a chance to not just hear them talk about what they do, but talk a little bit about their perspective on the news as well.
Exactly right. Looking forward to having them on here with us.
Exactamundo. All right, so hey, let's go on. Why don't we just jump right into it, because we have no shortage of stuff to talk about. Now, we all know, and once again, I don't think there's ever going to be a time where, or at least it's going to be a long time before we don't have COVID or something relating to COVID near the top of the news. Well, in this case, it's new news, but it's actually old news, and it has to do with masks. And once again, as they're pushing these mask mandates, we always, in the very beginning, when they told people to wear masks, you had Dr. Fauci out there saying, there's no reason for anybody to wear a mask. Then they started talking about how, well, if you wear a mask, it may not protect you, but it protects other people. But then they said, well, now you need to wear a mask because it'll protect you and protect them. And when you try to tell people, well, no, it doesn't really protect me. Well, once again, you got banned off Facebook, you got put into Facebook jail, whatever it was. Well, now, guess what? There's a study out that says that basically there is absolutely no evidence that wearing a mask protects the wearer. Right? So we always knew that. We always understood that. But for some reason, they felt like, as they've done with many things during COVID, they felt like they needed to lie to us in order to get us to kind of do what it was that they wanted us to do. Isn't that right, Mikey?
I'm curious, Craig. Obviously, this is we know this is a science fiction. This is whatever comes out of CDC's or NIH's mouth up there is what they want. But not wearing the mask. Are they saying this does not protect the wearer, or are they saying that this does not protect the other people around them? Does this specify whether the wearer is ill or whether the wearer is not ill? Let's give me more. Dharma,
okay.
His arms wide open.
Okay, so basically what they're saying is that if the person who is wearing the mask has COVID, then it does limit their ability to transmit it to other people, because, when you're talking whatever it is, spittles or whatever it is, it reduces the amount, doesn't prevent it from coming out, but it reduces the exposure that others would have. If you do not have COVID and they do not have COVID, first of all, it doesn't protect the wearer at all. At least let me clarify, there's no evidence that it protects the wearer, right? So we can assume it doesn't protect the wearer. Then the other point is, though, if you do not have COVID and you are wearing a mask, well, then nobody's really protected, because you're really not spreading COVID if you don't have COVID.
Got it. So basically what you and I and the rest of the conservative, freedom-loving world have been saying since the first week of the 2-week pause in activities. Yes.
Pretty much. But now there's a study.
Gotcha.
So, maybe now, we won't get, was it suspended off of Facebook and have our account suspended or kicked off Facebook, or have it fact checked, Yeah,
I think it's going to be a lot like we see all the time, Craig, is now we have this study that came out. Well, tomorrow we'll have the opposite study from another medical authority that was doing another study and found that it does work. and then if you don't wear your masks, that you're going to die tomorrow. That's the hate, that's the lies we're going to continue to get from this. It does not matter what the truth is. When we present the opposite side with it, they're going to belittle our facts.
Pretty much does not surprise me. But once again, it goes back to Mr. Rowe's comment about the problem is when you have a government that has demonstrated that they will lie to you, in a medical community that demonstrates that they will lie to you, then you don't know, or at least provide you with misinformation, and then act like they didn't, like they never told you that. Then it's going to create confusion and mistrust, and then people are just not going to trust you.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much
absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be that bit of mistrust, and we have none of it left for them.
Exactly. So, once again, it goes back to their mistrust. Well, once again, it goes back to our mistrust of the government, largely because of the lack of quality information that they provide to us. Which kind of leads me into our next story. Now, this is one, Mike, that I really want to have you kind of take the lead on. This has to do with it's critical race theory, Texas, and schools. And I'm just going to throw those three out there, and it's going to be a combustible combination. So I'm going to let you kind of go through this one because you were the one who kind of picked this story out.
Yeah, let me give this to you here. I'll give you a couple of facts behind this. This is coming out of Texas. This is coming out of schools in McKinney, Texas. Hold on a second here. I just lost my picture of you. Let's make sure you're still there. Yeah, you are. All right. Yeah, all of a sudden, QuickTime decided it was going to update, and it was more important than you, Craig. So it just computers, you know how it works.
Well, see, that's because I operate on slow time, so QuickTime didn't recognize me.
Oh, that's true. You're out there in California time.
Yeah. Sunshine.
McKinney, Texas. This is a suburb just north of Dallas. They have a program there where it's it's really good. It looks like some top-notch schools out there. They have a social studies club, and let me see exactly what they call it. They call it their every year students research current issues, proposed, debate their own public policy, and compete in mock legislature and elections process for statewide offices. McKinney's been doing this as a club since 2005, and since 2017 they've been doing it in their two districts' middle schools since 2017. Well, now we have the new law that's gone into effect, or going into effect September 1st in the state of Texas, and it's commonly called the anti-critical race theory thing. Craig, critical race theory teaches white people are the aggressors, racism. It's separation, and how we the white people are at fault, Craig, for everything that's every time an African American man has stubbed his toe, seems to me that's a white fault, and it's a critical race theory issue. Well, it's House Bill 3979. And when you take a look at House Bill 3979, even the author, even the state legislature says there's no reason for this school district to have canceled these classes or this club. There's nothing that they're doing that is against this bill, that is against this law. They're just this is once again, now we've got liberals in McKinney outside of Dallas overreacting, grandstanding, getting the news media attention. And when you stop and pause and you take a look at this law, there is nothing in it whatsoever. It's a clear misapplication. The new law only applies to required social studies classes that you need for your curriculum for graduate. You're going to take these extra clubs or these extra electives, and you want to get into a legislative debate. That's 100% allowed.
Well, no.
But you can't teach critical race theory as the only theory.
Right, but the point, and this is where they've made their mistake, because the teachers who are implementing this program are acting like, oh well, we can't do it because we can't debate or discuss policy or issues, and that's not what it was. Because understand, once again, critical race theory is about activism. It's about changing our form of government and all of that. So critical race theory actually advocates and is involved in politics. And so the goal of this bill was to make it so that teachers couldn't be teaching curriculum that was going to have their people actually advocating and trying to get legislators to vote a certain way. But that's not what this class does. Now, here's exactly what the bill says, right? It specifically says a school district, open enrollment, charter school, or teacher may not require, make part of a course, or award a grade or course credit, including extra credit for students' political activism, lobbying, or efforts to persuade, listen to this, members of the legislative or executive branch of the federal, state, or local level to make specific actions by direct communication or participation of any internship, whatever that other word is, similar activity involving social or public policy advocacy. Now, these kids are not advocating. Yeah. They're actually engaging in a mock version of the civil governance process. They're like, okay, this is an issue. Here's the information that's out there on it. Okay, you guys are going to be the Republicans. You guys are going to be the Democrats. You're going to bring up the issues. You're going to debate the issues. You're going to propose bills. But it's actually a great way to educate people on how the system works. But none of it is about lobbying the legislature or local government. But because these guys don't like,
that's what these teachers want you to think, is that all of a sudden, oh, this new bill says we can't teach social studies. We're afraid to have discourse with our students. That's not what it says. That's not what it says at all. And again, it's just grandstanding by some liberal teachers. First off, I'm surprised they're back to school at all. I mean, how are they going to stay safe, Craig? If I don't have the vaccine, Craig, how are they going to be able to live? I don't get that. So, these teachers that are trying to, again, poison the brains. If they can't get critical race theory taught, Craig, they'll make you think that they can't do anything at all. Oh, look at this. Here's another law restricting me from teaching our students. No, not at all. I was going to say not so much, but not even. It's just no much. It's no
right. But that's the problem is their goal is they want to have this restriction on teaching critical race theory. They want to be able to get their students to get involved in politics because for some reason Democrats have this fetish with people who have no real world life experiences, who basically have no real life experiences, and they want to have and don't really know, in many cases don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They want them advocating and voting, and they want them influencing politics. It's a real fetish with them, and I don't know exactly what it is, but the fact of having someone who has no idea what is going on, encouraging them to be the major lead voice and be like, well, if you don't listen to what somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about has to say, well, then there's something wrong with you. Like, well, it's their future. Well, yeah, in the future, they'll have an opportunity their voice will, once they have experience, will be worth something. Right now, not so much.
Exactly right. Again, to be clear, Bill says can't take this to the legislature and can't make critical race theory the only thing you teach.
Right.
That's not going on in either of these locations, either of these schools.
Exactly. But, Mike, here's one thing. Now, this is interesting. The NAACP has said that something is not racist. Right. So they're claiming now something is not racist. Now, that would happen to be a Jim Crowe era gun control bill. That's right, a bill that was passed in 1919 that would basically limits who has the ability to have a concealed weapons permit. I'm sorry, a local pistol permit. So the ability to be able to own a pistol, right? Yep. They now don't believe that bill, even though it was specifically written to keep black people from being able to own firearms, now, in the NAACP's eyes, it's no longer racist.
Okay, hold on. It was racist before?
Yes.
When it said what?
Black people can't have guns. Or you can determine, the local government can determine who gets a pistol permit.
Okay, so it was racist before.
Right.
The local government said it can't, who can have. And we know in the past, again, Democrats' Jim Crowe laws, that it was the majority of these laws were written so black people couldn't have guns after, this is a Southern thing mostly, by the way, folks, because in the South, after the slaves were freed, they still did not become, 3/5 people or whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever they agreed to. But so the laws were written, it was racist, black people couldn't have guns. And now what do we have, Craig?
Oh, well, now, well, because it limits who can get access to firearms, and now it's no longer racist.
Because everybody can't have guns, not just the black people. It's not racist anymore.
Even though the likelihood is that more black people or fewer black people, more white people will be approved for firearms or have been approved for firearms than black people.
Got it, got it. And why do you think the NAACP pivoted on this the way they did?
Because they hate guns and they hate people who have guns,
You know,
and
we,
they're
we've said
pawns of
this
the
for the
Democratic
last.
Party.
Yeah. Once the cases like Azil versus Chicago and Heller and McDonald came out, we could see that NAACP, much like the ACLU, was put in a position where they had to start agreeing with gun rights in
Right.
order to provide rights back to African Americans or others that were oppressed from other civil liberties under the ACLU. And now it's come full circle with the NAACP. They can't bite their lip anymore and promote you know African Americans because firearms to them are still bad. They're just not racist bad.
Right. They can't come. But what they can't do is they can't go against their Democratic
Correct.
partners.
Yeah.
Right. Their
Yes.
partners in the Democratic Party. They're like, okay, well, we're after reparations, so we'll give up our guns. That's pretty much what they're saying. We'll give up, there only being two genders, so that we can get affirmative action.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's. Hey, so it's hold on. That NAACP, what would they be known as? Oh, that's right, sellouts. So
Pretty
now they're
much sellouts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
That's why I'm just wondering, when is someone going to go after them for change their name? They use the word colored people, which, by the way, we all know is now racially insensitive, because although they can use it in their name, I'm quite sure that if you went out and started referring to peoples of African descent as colored people, well, there'd be a problem. But,
Well, listen, because then Craig, then their name would be the N quadruple A.
and quadruple A.
Those would be the N quadruple A.
Right.
That's it. So, and you can't have that. That would be just like, nah.
All right.
Hey, are you a member of nah? That just wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. Yeah, it's just turned. Listen, it's absolutely ridiculous. So, willing to sell their soul to keep their membership card with that party. That's what they've done.
All right. Now, Mike, the next story, I know you are intimately, you know a lot about. Good friend of the program is involved in this particular thing, and I just figured you would. I just figured you'd like to talk a little bit about this and share this story with the audience. And trust me, it's very much tied to something we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, listen. This is a Rare Breed Triggers. It's a company out of Florida, and all of the owners of this company. One who's a very, very well educated a gun attorney. Let's say that. Constitutional gun, criminal guns, civil gun, no matter what it happens to be. He's all wrapped up in firearms with his law firm. Part owner of this company and an attorney, so the attorney that represents it. What this company did is they had an idea for a trigger. It's called a forced reset trigger. What's that mean? It means if you've ever owned a Glock and put like a ghost drop-in trigger into it, it allows it to reset quicker. So you don't have to. I had to give you, the paint the picture for your mind here. When you pull the trigger, how far does it come down before it clicks? Well, the reset is how far it comes back forward before you're ready to fire again. So that's the reset on the trigger. Is after you pull the trigger and it's gone bang, and then you let it go forward. How long does it have to go before it clicks? Well, what Rare Breed Trigger was developed a forced reset trigger. So when it's pulled down, the action of the firearm causes the trigger to be locked again to the rear. So, Craig, what happens is you pull the trigger once, one bullet comes out. You pull it again, one more bullet comes out. That's a semi-automatic firearm. They've just made the reset on it very short. Well, they had when they went to production on this, they had a former senior ATF agent turned attorney take a look at this. They had the former director of Their tech branch look at this. They had many other agents that have testified around the country look at this, and they all said, not a machine gun. It's a forced reset. It's just a shorter reset on an AR-15 platform. Well, they've been producing for, I don't know, year, 2 years, something like that. And the ATF just said, we believe it's a machine gun and we want you to stop. They came to Mr. Maxwell's office, Attorney Maxwell's office, and their special agent in charge and their attorney, and said, we want you to stop. He's very polite. He said, thank you. Can I see your determination letter? And they said, we don't have it. He said, well, can I see your video? And we don't have it. They had nothing for him. So he told them, he goes, listen, without some sort of documentation other than what you've just told me here, I've got no evidence. We will not be complying with your order to cease and desist. He's since gone to court. They're waiting to find out about an injunction and to get the ATF off their back. They're in the meantime continuing to build these triggers and put them out there. They have flat out told the ATF, we shall not comply. You can't come in here and just change the rules on us. And that's what you're trying to do again. And there's case law and statute and U.S. code, and that's what we're standing behind. You get to be the enforcement branch you are the part of the executive branch. You get to enforce the laws. You do not get to legislate and make new ones. You do not get to be the judiciary branch and reinterpret them. That's not in your lane.
And you want
to enforce the law as it is? Fine.
Yes.
You don't get to reinterpret it. You don't get to change it. So that's not your job. So Mr. Maxwell and Rare Breed Triggers has gone to the court and said, we will not comply. It's none of their business.
Dude, and you know what's the trip about this was when the Trump administration basically went after bump stocks in this very, very same way, right? What was frustrating was the number of people in the gun rights community who said, oh, don't worry about it. Nobody owns bump stocks. We don't need to defend bump stocks. And I said at the time, I said, if we allow that administration to basically violate separation of powers in order to ban a firearm part that we don't care about, well, then we're almost guaranteed that a future administration would then go after a firearm part that we do care about. And once again, when we talk about separation of powers, look, there's a definition of what a machine gun is in statute passed by the legislative branch, signed into law by the executive branch, right? So if it's in statute, you don't get to just go back and redefine it. You don't. If the legislative branch wants to pass a law to tell you that we're going to redefine what a machine gun is, then that's on the legislative branch, and then the executive branch can either sign it or veto it. But just the executive branch just deciding that we're going to change it. And mind you, if we let this go, this will not be the last time. Imagine if they started then requiring a certain poundage, right, on the trigger pull, right? They could start adding all sorts of things in order to redefine it as a machine gun, just to make it so that you can't own it. And these guys they didn't even bother to do a determination letter. They have no evidence of any study, of any analysis that they did that supports this conclusion, this change of mind, whatever it is. They just decided. It looks
like the only thing they have is a video of somebody shooting it, and they said, well, that's pretty fast, so that must be a machine gun. Because we all know a machine gun is defined on how many bullets come out, right? Greg?
Right.
No, absolutely not. It's defined on pull the trigger one time, multiple bullets come out. It has nothing to do with how fast I can pull my trigger. If that was the case, Jerry Micklick would be illegal.
Yes, he would.
Shot, and he's here in this country. Now, Counselor, since you brought up bump stocks, I'm going to go back there again because bump stocks is not a fair comparison. Our president at the time gave the order to have the bump stocks outlawed in order to stop a law from being written at the time. The Congress had the momentum, and they would have passed and outlawed it and made it part of the law and been 100% enforceable. President Trump, art of the deal, folks, went in there, said, let's do this executive order, let's take it over to ATF, and let's get this done, because he knew that would not hold up to judicial scrutiny. He took the heat off the NRA, he took the heat off of Republicans in Congress, and he did this himself and had it done. And we've seen now, Craig, in multiple jurisdictions around the country, exactly what we predicted and exactly what I've been telling you since 4 years ago, that the bump stock ban is going away. It's already been banned in one circuit. and in other jurisdictions, state jurisdictions, it's failed to meet judicial muster.
Well, I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right. I'm sorry. I like President Trump. I like a lot of what he did, but I just really think I don't give him credit for 4D chess on this one. He's had some places where he's done it, but regardless, as long as it winds up getting thrown out, I don't care. But it laid out a roadmap, and that's what they're basically trying to do now, and they're going to try and do it again.
That's a good roadmap, Craig. Have them follow the path, the bad path. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. Mm-hmm. He stopped this from being written into law 4 years ago. Okay, if it's written in law, it's written in law. Sorry. Then this argument that you and I are having about rare breed trigger is null and void at all. Completely. All right. But he stopped it from being written into law 4 years ago, and now it's coming back court after court saying not valid, didn't have the authority. All right. And I'm telling you, this is not Joe Biden tapioca pudding. This is not Obama. This is not the Bushes before him. This is the long game. This is the long game.
Basically what this is him also going after Republicans, because the only way it would have ever become law is if a Republican controlled Senate actually approved it.
Because of the pressure on Republican senators and congressmen at the time from the shooting in Las Vegas. They were being pressured and pressured by their constituents. He took the onus off of those senators and representatives to have to vote either left or right on this by passing this executive order.
You have more faith in President Trump in that case than I do.
I also have faith
you have as much faith in take the guns first, due process later.
And you know what? That's what you say as a 1 second soundbite in a 3-hour meeting. And if that's what you want to take away from it, Craig, then you're the one looking at the small game. All right. He said that to get Pelosi and their side on the team to allow him to do this rather than to pass the law. He took the ball out of Nancy's hands when he said that.
Yeah. Okay. It's an argument. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's an argument.
That's all right. Like I said, we let you be wrong on the show all the time. It's okay.
And I let you be wrong on the show all the time as well.
Right. And that might be tomorrow's, but not today's.
All right. Point well taken. All right. Last topic for today has to do with ammo. You guys know that in many parts of the country, there is an ammo shortage, or at least there is a perceived ammunition shortage. Well, in the midst of that, if there's not an ammunition shortage, the Biden administration is doing the best they can to make sure that there is by banning Russian-made ammunition, or not just Russian-made ammunition. I believe, Mike, it was all foreign-made ammunition, banning the import of ammunition whatsoever.
I'd have to take a look at it. I think it was Russian-made that I saw, but you might be right, Craig. I have to go back and take a look at that order. I have not read that. You and I both been on the road. Long time this weekend, and I haven't gone through that one completely. Yeah. So the fact is that what is kind of the point of that, especially when, if we recognize, if they believe there's a shortage, the media believes there's a shortage, or the Biden administration believes there's a shortage, what is the negative to accepting the import of Russian-made ammunition or ammunition from any country, unless you deem that it's so poorly made that it causes a danger to the public? Why wouldn't you allow the product to be brought into the United States, especially, once again, since there's a perceived shortage here in the United States? That doesn't make any sense unless you just don't want people to have access to ammo. Well, that's what it is. They don't want people to have access to ammo. There's the 7.62 by 39 ammo. That's the primary one here that they're talking about. It goes in the SKS or the AK-47. Those are the two most popular. There's others out there, the VZs and such. But that ammo looks like it's going to continue to go up in price. Now, it was down to 25, 30 cents a round, which was just a hair above normal for 7.62 by 39 ammo. Just since this has been announced over the past couple of days, that ammo's doubled in price. It's back up over 50 cents a round if you can find it, which means you're not going to be able to get this ammunition. It was a cheap ammo to go plinking with at the range, and now that's out. This is solely designed to take away one style of ammunition or one size of ammunition. Now, it's all Russian ammo, but one size of ammunition, so you can't shoot those assault weapons anymore. Those evil AK-47s, you won't be able to shoot anymore. Is it made in America? Sure it is, but you're going to have to shoot it now at 75 cents a round which is the American price for it.
You know, it's funny. I still remember a meme where it was like, why is it that socialist Democrats, hate? Why do they hate the only thing that's ever worked coming from socialism?
Yeah, that's right. That is. I mean, it's known the world around as the peasant's rifle. That's what it is. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, hey, let's move on to today's parting shot, and it has a lot to do with some of the topics that we discussed today. So I'll just bring it right up. Americans, can you stop with our gun rights? Government, well, the best I can do is arm an entire terrorist regime again.
Yep, exactly right. Please stop messing with our gun rights. No, sorry. I'm going to come after your Russian ammo. I'm going to come after your rare breed triggers. I'm going to come after, AR pistols. But wait, I'm still going to arm the entire Middle East again.
For the life of me, I mean, there's some of the larger pieces of heavy machinery that we know that they're not going to be able to use, but they will be able to sell it to other countries and get cash to buy the stuff that they can use.
Yeah, I saw a number this weekend that said 600,000 rifles.
600,000 rifles. Something like 5, I think it was like Apache helicopters or something like that. I think they were talking about they're $23 million a piece. I mean, we're talking not just rifles, but heavy equipment, night vision. I mean, vehicles that are armored vehicles. I mean, a bunch of stuff that we know in the end is going to wind up being used against our allies and against our own troops there in the Middle East.
Yep. It's absolutely, ironic, hypocritical, wherever you want to go, whatever angle you want to look at it from, that we're going to take guns from the Americans and leave, over 500,000 of them behind. We're going to arm a portion of the world that just wants to kill us. So let's give it to them now.
Exactly. Let's give in to them. Hey, Mikey, before we go, tell the folks about our sponsors. Let them know what's up.
A couple of great sponsors we got going on with our good friends with Gorilla Machining, and then of course our good friends with Grid Defense, and they're going to have some great products for us this week. We should probably know tomorrow what it is, and we will get back to you and let you know what you're going to get on Feedback Friday, as long as you are a willing participant and active in the process.
Exactly, and that means you need to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's easy to find, therundown.us. Therundown.us will take you straight to our YouTube channel. Also, you can find us on Facebook. Just look us up on the 2A Rundown there on Facebook. Encourage you guys, please, like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same.
Like, share, subscribe, folks. We will see you soon.
I'll let you later.